They're welcoming ages 3 up to 18. They have community events. They have daycare. They have, you can go there after school programs. They have cooking. They have math, tutors, and whatnot. You can bring your kids there. Also, Kevin Parker is part of West Partners. They have commercial property in Oakland, and he hires people off the streets. He gives them jobs, construction jobs. Matter of fact, I went to go see him last week, and he had a unsheltered homeless gentleman that he just picked up. You know, the guy was doing bad. He said, you know what, come through these properties, clean up, and I'll give you a little stipend. And so that's one of the things that he's doing in the community to kind of give back. So that's 3233 Market Street in West Oakland.
Also, Bobby, add that they do the Squires program every other Saturday. They take young men and women off our communities into San Quentin, and you know, it's to show them that intervention. So that's a part of what they do also.
And what's the age range? I forget. For the what's it when?
3 to 18.
What is it?
3 to 18.
Who's saying it?
She's saying it.
Oh, okay. I'm looking around like I don't. Who is that speaking? Is it 3 to 18? 3 to 18. So that facility. But we also have. Did you have a question?
Yes, I have something to say. I'm pretty upset because I called and well, it's the police. It's the, like I said, it's the gangs within them. They're railroad.
Wait.
I'm not going to stop talking.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But I'm going to tell you.
Okay. First of all, I said we're going to be respectful of each other.
I am being respectful.
Right now, you're not being respectful.
Why am I not? I haven't said anything disrespectful.
You're yelling for no fair reason whatsoever.
That's just my voice.
Okay. Can you bring it down for
Yes,
one
I'll
second?
try.
All right. That's
Okay.
number one. We're talking about solutions, so I don't know. You start talking about something else. So let me come to you in a second. Let me finish talking about the programs, and I'll come back to you because I thought you were talking about what we were just talking about right now.
No, you knew what I was talking about.
Actually, no, I
This
didn't,
ain't
ma'am.
the first time you just seen me. So you know what I'm talking about.
Okay,
The
but
same
can
thing.
you please refrain? Talia, please.
Hello, how y'all doing? Hello, community. Okay, that's a little better. So my name is Talia, and I manage a youth center, a foundation downtown Oakland. These are a few of my youngins here who are involved in programming. How many of you all are parents in here? Let me get a show of hands. It's ages 15 through 24. Well,
Ages, you mean the parents are age?
no.
I hope not.
If you have a young person, if you have a child who is between the ages of 15 and 24, let me see so I can get an understanding of who's in the room. Okay, so there are, as we were mentioning before, plenty of programs that are youth-related that provide holistic wraparound services such as case management, paid internships. These two young men here, when I first met them, their asses were high as hell when they walked into my community center, okay? And I still stalk them on their Instagram. They still be doing their thing on the weekends. But the point of the matter is during the week and on Saturdays, they do come to me and they are working, okay? So my job as a community member is to employ youth, is to teach young people job readiness skills and life skills, right? So that they don't end up in a situation to where they are or have to become a returning citizen, okay? So these young men can tell you a little bit about kind of what they're learning right now. They both love music, so you have young people who love music, who love video production. We offer all of that at Margot's Community Center. And then also there's another lady in here, Miss Youth Works. Where you at? Okay, so you want to stand up?
I'm going to bring her up in a second.
Okay.
You are about your program.
Okay. Well, that's my dog over there because she represents Berkeley, okay? So she has plenty of programming and services. But I just want to say that we have to invest in our young people because a lot of the young people that I service, when they come to me, they're already on probation. They're wearing ankle monitors. I have to deal with their POs and work with their POs. And work with law enforcement to help get them off probation because I don't want them to end up having to go to prison, okay? And I just was with the rest of these gentlemen in San Quentin, and I'm telling you, it's a lot of parents sitting in there. So I need for you all to send your children There's plenty of after-school programs. There's plenty of resources, okay? Contrary to popular belief, there are plenty resources. You guys want to say anything?
Sure. Well, I just got my certification in financial literacy. This is a website we're working on. I just finished it. And we just started our Apple certification, so we can work at Apple.
Nice. Any questions for us? We have flyers. Yes.
How can I come help?
That's wonderful. I need as many mentors as I can get, volunteers as I can get. I have the information sitting right over here. I have my cards. Please come see me after this is over. I need as many mentors. Parents, I need y'all there because I'm like the mama of the group. So I definitely need that. Absolutely. Yes.
Can you give us a quick example or description of wraparound, the term, how you apply it?
So wraparound services, what that basically means is for our young people that we service, we provide case managers. I have case managers who work for me, for the youth, okay? So they can go in and talk. If they're having a bad day or they're coming from school and had a problem, they can go to one of their case managers. I have education specialists who work with us. So if a young person needs help filling out their financial aid form, they're confused about how to apply to college online, or they need to go, they need someone to assist them on a college tour, like one of our community colleges, we will go with them. So we accompany them on college tours, we take them on field trips, like we took these two gentlemen to LinkedIn in the city, so they were able to see what it looks like if you were going to work at a tech company, and that there are people who look like them who work for tech companies. Okay, can I get an amen today? Okay, so that's what I mean by wraparound services. Really, we just wrap our arms around them. We love on them. If they need clothes, if a lot of my youngsters, when they come in, I got some football players today, be hungry. Okay, I have food. I believe in feeding children. They should not go hungry. Teenagers too. I call them children, they're young men. Okay, young ladies. So we have food. We have a place for them just to relax. If they want to shoot pool. We have a recording studio if they want to go down there and make beats. Whatever they want to do to relieve stress. So that's what I mean by wraparound services.
Thanks, that's great.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So my name is Scott.
Wait, someone solutions. Do you have a question for her yet?
No.
We'll come back to the second. Ma'am, can I have you come up here real quick so that everybody can hear what your program was?
All right. So has anybody in this room ever had a job through YouthWorks in Berkeley? A job through YouthWorks in Berkeley? You or your children? So the city does operate a youth employment program called YouthWorks. I'd like you to meet Jose Rinos. He's one of the staff of YouthWorks and our employment programs. Youth ages 14 to 25 that are Berkeley residents can come in and apply for a job with our program. We're here because we're super excited that our winter program is about to kick off, and the application period is the entire month of October. And then they'll go to work in January. For our summer program, the application period is in March, so that they can work 7 weeks during the summer. And if you're 18 through 25, you can come in and apply anytime. We don't expect you to have to wait till the summer program or wait till the winter program. If you're involved in some sort of academic or vocational pursuit, we want you to come in and apply for YouthWorks. If you're not quite there yet, then come in and talk to Jose and he'll help walk you through the process. Any questions? Starting October 1st, the jobs are going to pay $13.25 an hour. And it's not endless funding. We usually can hire around 200 for the summer. I'm sorry? What kind of job? So we place youth with local nonprofits and within city departments. So some examples are like in our IT department, in public health, helping with tobacco awareness and preparedness, emergency preparedness. They work at the senior centers. We have somebody working here. And then also with like child care programs, Bahia, Centro Vida, the Ecology Center. They're a great work site for us. They'll hire 12 to 15 youth every year. So we have great work sites. They come back every year. The kids get out there and get some work experience.
Thank you. Oh, sir.
What about trade programs? What if you're 18 or 19, college is not a viable path for you? Are you able to come and get information and assistance with trade school, trade programs, getting a job that's going to lead to a career?
Great question. So the city itself does not operate apprenticeship programs, but we do fund a program called Green Energy Training Services, and they provide, it's an MC3 certified training that is a pathway into the building trades. The city has a policy on all these projects you see around town, for sewers and street and building that new garage in downtown Berkeley. There is a regulation that requires that the contractors make an effort to hire locally, hire Berkeley residents, but they need to be in the union. So the unions are now really looking for Berkeley residents so that they can help meet that requirement. I can tell you right now that that garage that's been built downtown, 22 Berkeley residents have worked on that project, 2 of them women. A cement mason, a female cement mason, and a female electrician. So we have policies also to help encourage and try to get people into the pipeline.
I have something for you. So I have a program that we can talk about in a second. Okay. Fab, sir. Thank you. Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, where's your location again?
Is it Austin Way? We are in City Hall, 2180 Milvia on the 2nd floor, and our flyers and brochures are at the table. Or just take one of our pencils and that has our phone number on it. Oh, okay.
Still talking about solutions?
Solutions would be, first of all, my name is Stanley, AKA Mr. Fab, local artist from the community. Do a lot of things within the community as far as philanthropic work, dealing with the kids, opening up employment, enrollments. We have a store on 19th and Broadway. The store is called the Dope Air Store, and what we've been doing, we've been reaching out to a lot of the kids in surrounding schools. So Oakland School of Arts, Vision, and some of the other schools around there where kids can get extra credit for coming in, helping with the entrepreneurship, teaching and giving kids an opportunity to see how it is to run a business. The difference is we don't traditionally run our business the way that most people have blueprints and things like that with business plans, because everything started with us just from the ground up. Being young, being somebody that they can relate to, it's kind of, for them, it's shocking. And it's also shocking for a lot of people that walk by the store and they see where our location is and where we're placed, and that this is owned by a young black man from the community in the city, and they sit back and they like, whoa, like, where's the owner? I'm like, hi. But what it does is it raises the morale of these children. When these children come in these after-school programs and they get a chance to see someone that they can relate to, someone that wears the same clothes as them, speaks the same language as them, wears everything like them, and it's more like, okay, now we're giving these children an opportunity. What is happening, what I'm seeing is happening, is the collapse of communication between us as a people. We're not going to put up division lines of race. We're not going to put up division lines of gender or anything, or belief, or anything like that. We're talking about the collapse of communication as a people. Sometimes questions are far more important than answers, because questions summon dialogue. So for us to be able to ask certain questions creates the dialogue where we can have forums like this. Now we're dealing with cultural patience. And cultural patience, meaning we have to be patient with each other. There are a lot of, not saying that, not to talk to, like in the remedial, but what I'm saying, elaborate on it. Being patient with each other, as sometimes the lack of understanding comes from generational differences. It comes from demographical differences. It comes from upbringing, and we have to realize that we have a lot of children that are being raised by children. So we can't victimize victims. I went to juvenile hall and I spoke about 2 months ago. And I saw some girls that were 13 years old, and they were in a detention center for prostitution. So when I pulled one of the counselors to the side, I said, aren't they victims? Like, why are they being incarcerated? These girls are 13 years old. and being solicited as prostitutes, young girls. I'm like, to me, that's a victim. And what we have done in this generation and culture, we have people that are victims, victimizing victims. So our cultural patience is at an all-time low. Our community patience, what we're doing and how we're building. Where's the conversation? Where's the dialogue? When is the last time that you've asked a stranger, how is their day? How are you? We don't speak to each other anymore. We don't build with each other anymore. So the building blocks have been removed. And now in our community, the common community has been taken away. So now there's no common unity. There was a time a few years ago where even me being from my neighborhood coming to Berkeley was like, okay, bro, you good? Yeah, all right, let's go. And that's crazy because we cousins, like community-wise. But the dialogues and conversations have been removed and nobody figures out something worse than somebody who feel like they got it figured out. Like you don't have no information, no nothing. In our hood mentalities, we're like, murder she wrote. Everybody's in the, oh yeah, this would happen. Like, hold on, there's no conversation. So I feel like we need to have more conversation and less confrontation. Because with that, we can create true policies and true solutions without the conflict. Now, a lot of us may be in different generations, but the generation that I'm in now, we want to rush to the ending result. There's no gray area. There's no genesis. It's just we're going all the way to 10. We're going to 10. And that comes because we don't have patience with each other no more. A lack of understanding has a lot of people incarcerated. We have parents out here who are trying their best, but they may not be able to reach their children. So we have to be artists, athletes, other things. We have to also be parents and friends and to help strengthen the relationship. My mother was like, I'm going to keep it short. My mother was a community leader. And people love my mom was everybody's mom. Like she was the house where if you couldn't talk to your mom, you go talk to her. I'd be walking in the house and seeing my like, bro, what is you doing here? I was just hollering at your mom. I was going through some stuff, man. Whoa. But I had to learn to accept her role as I'm learning how to accept my role. My role as a community organizer, my role as a community leader, my role as a voice of a generation that has had their microphones muted and overtalked as we get to this podium because no one wants to hear what we said. Because everybody says, oh, you just frustrated. I'm tired of being painted as the angry black man because I'm bringing forth issues that people choose to ignore. So many of us have repressed conversations that need to be out, that when we finally do say them, we yell them. Yes, we're talking at a higher tone because we angry. So to ask a person, why are you angry? That's kind of like, it's a slap in the face. Look, why are we angry? Like Jack said, not only are they killing us, we killing us, but nobody addresses it when we kill us. Nobody addresses it. It's only a problem or it's only an issue when police officers kill us or judicial system kill us. But all I'm saying, man, is at the end of the day, I'm so thankful about this forum because I know some of the organizers. I know some of the influential people that play behind the scenes in what we're trying to do. And like I told them, I don't want to talk about the problems. We all got problems. If all of us threw our problems on the floor right here, it'd be to the ceiling. But the solutions are, what can we continue to keep doing? So I have to figure out what I'm doing in my part. And my part is allowing my influence to influence other people for positivity, for progression. There's no such thing as perfection, only progression. Nothing's going to be perfect. So let's focus more on progression over perfection, because in the quest of perfection, you'll deal with a perfectionist and a procrastinator, and that's a cold thing. You get caught in a cold little twist trying to be a perfectionist. You end up being a procrastinator, because you'll never get to perfect. So we all have to play our role. First, you have to figure out what is your role. What are you contributing to the solution? What are you adding to it? I'm a firm believer that creations create. And creators, we're born to create. So through our creations, what opportunities will we create that help people? Because it's all about helping. I'm here for the helping and the healing, not the headlines. I thank everybody for giving me the floor and the platform to speak and spew of what it is that we're doing. If you are interested and involved with your children being more involved in entrepreneurial skills, being an artist and things like that, welcome to come down to the store. My store is on 19th and Broadway. Young black business owner that's constantly giving back to the community and constantly learning. So for my elders in here that have already had the experience of doing some of the things that I've done, please, can I pick your brain? Let's create dialogue so we can continue helping and teaching each other. Thank you, everybody, for coming out.
Solutions.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Aisha, and I'm from San Francisco, from Hunters Point, and I'm sorry my 3-year-old has consumed so much sugar, he's about to wild out. Just real quickly, I wanted to let everyone know that I run a design nonprofit. We are Black-owned. We are somewhat based out of San Francisco, however, we are pretty much Bay Area wide. This is Kenzo. In regards to solutions, I do sit in a variety of different capacities throughout the Bay and different platforms. However, with Interact Project, we teach all aspects of design to our children. When I say our children, I'm referring to our Black and brown children. Again, we focus on building a pipeline and pathways to expose all of our children starting as young as 10, because 5th grade, I do accept 5th grade as being, we start middle school to high school. Oh my gosh, welcome to my world of crazy. Anyway, the things that I do and how I reach everyone across, we bring everything that we teach. I'm losing my focus because this boy is going in circles and making me dizzy. Everything that we teach is taught by professionals in the industry, so I search and seek people that resemble us as a people to educate our children. I have small classroom settings that teach, again, all aspects of design. Through that, starting in the spring is the beginning class of the Youth Design Academy, and we build pipelines. So real quick, this year in the summer, I launched 3 major boot camps. One was with Facebook, a 2-week intensive on-site at Facebook boot camp. I created a design-a-thon working with Amazon, Adobe, Cones, and Airbnb, which I then gifted stipends to our children in small groups of 3 and 4, working with each individual company, $500 as me figuring out ways to incentivize our community to help the family and also not only give access to our young people to experience things far beyond what they thought could ever be. You do not need to go to college. However, with the college, I'm currently building another form of pipeline with design schools. I'm working with 3. University of Michigan, STAMS, Arizona State University, and Washington, University of Washington, the Huskies, UW. There's so many different components, but when starting our young kids at middle school and building from there, and I'm also serving high school students, there's so much component to what we have. Again, we are free. Again, we find different ways to incentivize our family to help what happens behind closed doors with our families and the challenges that we are faced with, but also giving them a lot more hands-on access and exposure to what could be a possibility, which is endless and unlimited. So because I ran out of business cards and I was unprepared, if anyone is interested in learning more, I will give you my email. It's Aisha, spelled IEESHEA at INNERACT project, PROJECT.org. And then my direct phone number is area code 415-425-2699. So if anyone is interested, runs a nonprofit organization, has a space that I can throw a class, please feel free to reach out to me and then we can continue to build. If you have children that are interested, please send them my way and I will walk you through the process.
Email again?
Yes, it's IEESHEA at INNERACT project.org. Thank you, and I apologize. Thank you, Kendra, got me distracted. Where did you go?
And also, her information will be on the Barbershop Forum's website, so you can have that. Ma'am, you asked about apprenticeship. Sorry, pay attention. You talked about apprenticeship. Mr. Butler, tell them about your program, please, sir.
Hi, good morning, good evening, rather.
Good morning.
I represent the Simons Mandela Training Center. It's located at East Oakland right now. We used to be in West Oakland. We've been in business for over 24 years. The significance of the Simons Mandela Training Center is a pre-construction apprenticeship program. And the importance of that is all the jobs are virtually all union jobs, living wages, and full benefits. When I say full benefits, I'm talking about medical, dental, and vision. The only requirements, This is something I want you to think about. Where in the United States of America can you get a career for $500? I know of one place. That's the Simon Mandela Training Center. This is the cost. 2 or 3 khaki uniforms, a pair of boots, and 4 drug tests. We charge $45 for a drug test. We want you to take 4 tests. A lot of the young guys come in, they're gonna be positive for THC. A lot of guys, they smoke that marijuana, okay? Now, you can't get a job in construction smoking marijuana. We have to emphasize that, all right? Requirements are, before you go to work, you got to have a valid California driver's license. You can come in the program without a license, you can come in the program, and your first drug test can be positive. However, the subsequent test, we want to see that rate lowered. And if it's not lowered, then we have to remove you from the program. My point, though, is this. The 4 drug test is $180. The khaki uniform and the boots, maybe $150. And that's basically it. Oh, we charge $20 for a hat. Now, that's about less than $500. But this is an opportunity. Now, unfortunately, in the Bay Area, when you say $23, $25 an hour, it's still tough. But that's what the jobs are starting off at. $23, $25 an hour, and you get full benefits. Now, I'm putting a big push on it right now. I'd like to see some more of my folks out there in construction. See all these big construction projects around here, you don't see many blacks, do you? So we're trying to increase that. See a lot of white, a lot of brown, don't see that many black. So, if you have a family member, don't care what race they are, what color, we're still gonna work with them. But if you have a family member that wants a career, and keep this in mind, everybody's not going to college.
That's right.
Everybody's not, there's gonna be some academia. I know people that went to college and they have degrees, and they're at Walmart and McDonald's. So some of these degrees, you need a master's or a PhD to excel. So we're at 977 66th Avenue. If Mr. Chambers or Mr. Rice would recommend you, we got open enrollment for most of their prospective clients. Our next orientation will be December 6th. December 6th is the next orientation. It's on a Thursday, and all orientations are at 111 Grand Avenue. That's the Caltrans building. We do our orientations in the auditorium. High school diploma or a GED, a driver's license, and pass the drug test. Seaman Mason, iron worker, laborer, carpenter. We do have a pathway in the PG&E, but that's a little bit tighter. If you're on paper, when I mean paper, parole, probation, they probably want about 5 to 7 years of clean time off of paper. Some of those jobs are paying like $50, $55 an hour. Okay?
Thank you, sir.
My pleasure.
When we're talking about solutions, we also want to make sure that you know your rights. And knowing your rights is something that's very, very important because that causes some issues also. So we want to make sure you know your rights when it comes to different types of things.
I'm a business owner too, a
Ma'am,
black-owned
we
business
have a seat
owner.
and-
I'm a black-owned business owner. I've been open for 7 years. I help and I do a homeless feed every 3rd Saturday. I've been in the papers for the past 2 years for People's Choice Best Food. I beat out tailgaters for Buffalo Wings, Southern Cafe for my ribs, Channel 2 News was there. So I do support and help. I only hire the young youth to show them that they can run a cash register, they can run a credit card machine, that there's something else you can do with yourself. And it makes them feel good to know that they can do that, because before that, all they knew to do is go in a store and leave out. You never know, they never knew where it come from, where it started from, how do you do this, and it's nothing but every day, me, you. And so I do support all of this, but as well as they don't want me to get up, they're sitting me down, I also want to talk about the police officers and what they're doing to our black men, because that's always it.
We're not there
But
yet.
why can't we be there?
Because you should have been here on time.
I've been to every meeting you've had.
You weren't here on time.
But it doesn't matter. stop me
It
from
doesn't
talking.
start and stop.
Okay, well,
Please have a
the
seat and
district
let me
attorney,
talk.
I've asked him to pull my son's file. He told me he would. He never called me. This is about a Berkeley police officer, Timon Small, who has went and railroad and did what they want to. What about what they're doing to? They say it's gangs all over the kids, but what about the officers that are gang related and doing what they want to do to our black males? You know, this is what I want to speak about. Also, I care about the children and what we go through, but at the same time, you say this is the small part. They're just shedding a light over helping us, but when it's down to really helping us, like fighting back against what's going on, that's not right, you want me to shut up.
I want you to talk, but I want you to talk.
No, you want me to shut up, but I had
No,
a chance
I want
to
to
say
shut up.
what I wanted to
I don't
say.
have a reverse it.
Basically,
But I'm allowing them to speak.
that's fine, that's fine, that's fine. I'm done.
Well, let me,
I'm sorry, go ahead, please, thank you.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
My name is Jason Ross. I'm a black lawyer. I'm going to talk a little bit about your rights and kind of why did I become a part of the Barbershop Forum. Most of the time, I'm dealing as a criminal defense lawyer on the other side, where our youth are using me to help them get out of trouble. And it's a very precarious place where a lot of the kids say, why are you working with the police? Or why are you involved with law enforcement? And part of the reason that I've been able to effectuate change and working with the Barbershop Forum is I've been able to use the networks that we've had to help our youth who've gotten into trouble. I've been able to reach out to people on the force, reach out to the district attorney's office. I've actually been able to have work and have dialogue about alternative sentencing, where I've actually gotten some cases dismissed because of the relationships that deserve to be dismissed, not just because of the relationship, but by being able to look a little bit further into these cases. Because you're right, there are a lot of law enforcement who are not behaving appropriately. There are a lot of law enforcement who are behaving appropriately, but being able to have that dialogue is important. If you're not at the table, you can't affect change. So part of what I've been able to do is affect change through these relationships. So part of what Craig and I want to impart, part of the knowing your rights is exercising your rights doesn't necessarily have to mean conflict. And I think a lot of what happens is we have the idea that a person is exercising their right, and because they're exercising their right, they're greeted with conflict from the officers. And so part of the climate that we're in today is sometimes it's about surviving the encounter, and it's embarrassing to actually have to say that, but I have to talk about surviving the encounter. What does that mean? Do you have a right to remain silent? Absolutely. But how do you exercise that right? Do you get up and yell in their face, I don't have to talk to you, when you're not exercising that right to remain silent? It's about understanding what your rights are and knowing how to appropriately exercise those rights so that you don't end up in the backseat of a police car and now I was exercising my right, but it's quoted as you were resisting or not being cooperative.
Jason and I have talked about this a number of times because I work for the district attorney's office. I'm in the law enforcement branch of the VA's office, not on the attorney side, but I've been a police officer for 30 years. And one of the things that we both have to agree upon is that when you're stopped by law enforcement, it's not that you want to give up your rights as a human being or your civil rights to protect yourself, but you also want to be somewhat cooperative so that you don't escalate the situation. And if an officer asks you what's your name or asks you certain questions, you certainly don't want to lie to them. But if you've done something wrong, you might not want to talk to them. But there's times that you can talk your way out of escalating the situation, being that you're being placed into the back of a patrol car or taken downtown because they don't know who you are because you're refusing to identify yourself. And if they have the probable cause to detain you and potentially arrest you, you don't want to escalate that by those rights are. And certainly, I agree with Jason, is that if people have done something wrong, sometimes it's better to not talk. But if you haven't done anything wrong, failing to identify yourself or doing stuff that could escalate the situation is not going to be helpful or beneficial for you. We want to de-escalate the situation, not escalate.
I just want to say, I just want to say to you, and not being disrespectful, not meant to be or anything, but you gave me some kind of hope and some kind of confidence, but you threw it all out the window when you promised me that you would get back in touch with me, and you never did. And I just want to let you know that, I mean, even if it wasn't going to be everything or something that I wanted, just the rapport that I had with you, I felt so happy. When I was talking to you on the phone, then I met you in person. We didn't even have to say anything, but we knew who each other was, and we had never seen each other. And you gave me so much confidence, but that's not right, and it's not right to do anyone like that.
Let me just say this, LaDonna. Your case, I'm still looking at it.
But you could have answered, or you could have called me. We
I
planned to
understand
talk.
that, but like you said, like you already knew what my situation is with my chief being gone. He just came back to work last week, so I'm running an organization of 70 investigators all over the county. I have to,
Just a call. I've never.
Let me have you guys talk offline. Let me have you guys talk offline.
That's okay. That's okay.
Gentleman over here, I forget where he had it, where his hand. I know you have someone else does. All right, I don't see him. Someone come back over here. They don't come to you, sir. Notice something.
I'm always riding Paul's behind about, he hasn't got no victims on the panel. I'm a victim, or my son was a victim. My son was, I call it murder by the Richmond Police Department 4 years ago. It's really hard for me to come up here and not use inflammatory language like the lady wanted to use. It is frustrating. But I do want to commend Mike Carroll and Bobby Hookfin and Craig here and everybody that shows up to these things all the time for helping to restore my police, confidence in the police and stuff. I know there are good ones. I do know that just like anybody else, the police have to preserve their life first. But the runarounds they gave me about my son, it's just even more exacting is the deceitful way the Richmond Police Department dismissed the cop off of the force just to save face. It really hurt. And thank God he's not a police officer no more, but he's still a drain on society financially, but he's still not a police officer. He was known to be bad. He was recommended for non-hire from day one. So that's a big long story, and Paul's not going to let me get into that part. But again, I do appreciate that he allows me to speak. I appreciate seeing people like the Chief of Berkeley here, and she's from BART, and this other BART man's here. I get to recognize a lot of faces here, and all the people that are here that don't have no skin in the game, I appreciate it, because we are trying to prevent this stuff. We are trying to restore integrity in the police department, and I know, like I said, Mike Carroll and Bobby Hookfin are very proud to be police officers, so it's very hard to confront them about this. And, okay, I talked too much, so, thank you, Paul.
He's changed a lot. When he first got here, he wanted to fight and argue, and he had a story to tell. You did.
Let me add. Okay, my son is P.D. Perez. The murder of P.D. Perez is on YouTube. P.D. P-E-D-I-E. I like to toot my horn on the fact that my family introduced Kashana Harley to Jack. And I wish she was here right now, because she would light him up.
She would.
She didn't know how to hold back on an inflammatory language. And I always told her, come on, we're not here to make enemies. We're trying to get a point across. And like I said, I wish she was here right now, because she would light them up real quick. And
So we'd be friends with
I do commend the police for solving her, catching her murderer. And they do have a good side. I do acknowledge that. The problem I have is when they cover up for the bad ones, and y'all know the story. So,
And that's what that happens in Berkeley. You go to that gentleman right there.
right.
Appreciate it.
Paying attention. Thank you.
I know you will. All right. Hey, what's up? I don't. No, just what's the sign about? Explain to us.
Well, I'm Malika, and my brother was Alex Goodwin, known as AG. He was murdered about 2 years ago out in South Berkeley, Maple Burnett. And I agree a lot with what
Jack.
with what he was saying, that we have to rally around not just when police kill us, but when we kill each other. And not all police are bad. I'm in a lot of constant contact with Greenwood, and he's a really nice guy. And I just would like to see maybe you guys just building the trust back with the community. And as you know, I'm in contact with both sides, West Berkeley and South Berkeley. And if any help I could be to try to bridge that gap and build the trust back, then I could.
For us, it's kind of frustrating. I'm his aunt. It's kind of frustrating because a lot of the police is probably doing their job, but at the same time, for us, it's like a lot of what happened to my nephew is still going on out here during public places. They having events. In the last couple of shootings, we all believe is linked to the same people that did this to him, and there's no arrest made. It's still going on. What was that, last week? Sacramento Market got shot up. So it's yesterday. So it's so much back and Friday, back and forth. Like, I feel like between the police and South Berkeley community, we are strong, because every time we have meetings, we come together. I don't know what West Berkeley is doing, but it has something to do with them over there. We just gotta come together somehow and like end this before somebody else gets killed, because they already been hurt. But it's like, we gotta live with this every day of him not being here, and these people still out here living their life, continuing to, shoot people, and it's not okay.
I have a question for you, Greenwood. Do you guys do any community work like this down there in West Berkeley?
Meetings like this?
Yeah.
There haven't been, certainly not recently, and I guess, so if you wanna really get real.
Let's get real.
Is ongoing. So AG was killed. There's obviously friction between whoever killed him and a group. That was 2 years ago. We've been working on that case, and we had a shooting in San Pablo Park not too long ago, and don't have cooperation with the victim of that. Although we got some gratitude for the fact that the police helped save lives by first aid and so forth from the family. And we had a shooting a couple days ago, Sacramento Market. Are they all connected? It's possible that they are, but we're working on that case. My question would be, not just for you, but kind of for our community, is what ideas does one have that can help neutralize these conflicts that are going on? Because it's small groups of people, right, who are focused on hurting each other. And those are hard for us to intervene in, because we can't just arrest people because of what they might do. We have to respond in a way to a case or a shooting, gather the evidence, and prosecute that way. I would love for there to be another solution or other activity that helps to neutralize out the conflict that's going on. So I'm open, I'm open to suggestions, not from you, but from our Berkeley community who's here, who maybe haven't been heard, if there's something we can do on that, we have limited resources. We're very focused, obviously, on the crime, gathering evidence, interviewing, and we can't, as I've shared with Khadijah, because I'm trying to be super honest, you know, we can't always share exactly what we're doing, but that doesn't mean we're not open to ideas and dialogue.
It's about self-responsibility also. What else can you bring to the table besides? Is that fair? Sir?
Hi, my name is Mike Hamilton. And I don't know where to start now, but I want to answer your question in a way that I think it's already been said in the room. So now you have returning citizens here, and people call themselves returning residents. I've been out 10 years now, I did 30 years, and I didn't sit next to you because of that reason, honestly, but I'm glad I did, you know, because what DC said earlier, we've been working with youth inside of our, you know, institutions for some time now. And our goal with this is to work with youth that can work with the youth that they can relate to. I mean, I'm pushing 60. I've been doing this for a while, so maybe, you know, some of the cultures I can't relate to, but if we can train young men who these younger men look up to, each one teach one, that's the philosophy. That's where it starts. And we're here now, so the answers are right here next to you, sitting right next to you. Okay? So we can relate on many levels. Some of the barriers are already broken down, the walls are already gone. And these young men, these young women, look forward to the conversation. And so that's where we want to be tomorrow. We want to be there. We've been doing it, so we want to help to bring these, you know, every aspect of the community together and show that, you know, our experience, whether there's a degree or not, is a lifelong experience that does work. And one other thing I would like to say, I've heard a lot from this room today, and I always take so much from this. You know, and I hope that, you know, we can be at some higher level of thinking. You know, when this gentleman gets up and talks about helping a young man who might have a P-test, might have, you know, an opportunity to go to work with a union that gets dental and vision, and then another man comes up here and talks about entrepreneurship. My thought is that that man would hire his man, you see? And why aren't we talking about, at some point, and this is my goal, is to talk about young men that are getting their contractor's license. You see, that's where we really want to be. And then I have one more, and this is on every level, you know, this higher level of thinking. So I would love to talk with you about that. I own a small business, and I may have even hired a couple of your guys. But I want to say one more thing. You mentioned the camera. You guys are going to start wearing cameras, right? So this may be a solution, maybe it's just a thought. But at one time in my life, I would like to see an officer show the camera. Well, he's not, you know, aware of the situation, but I mean, come on. Our community knows that these are Department of Mental Health issues. And this is what frustrates me, is that I never heard once the guy get on the radio and say, hey, call Jenny from Department of Mental Health. Or I might have, you know, a box of sack lunches in my car and hand the guy a sack lunch. He might put down the crowbar. He might put down something because he's not going to shoot you. We know that. He might throw the crowbar at you. I'm not trying to put you in a dangerous situation, but it may give an alternative to any potential solution rather than force. You see? And Jenny or Jack or whoever's coming down there, you're waiting on them from the Department of Mental Health, may really understand that issue. It may be an issue that your officers do not understand. Okay? And that you're receptive to bringing in Jenny. Not colliding with Jenny, but bringing in Jenny because, hey, Jenny, we need your help.
All right.
I mean, I don't know, Mike? Yes. City of Berkeley has a long-time mobile crisis team. So when you talk about bring in, they work with us, they carry radios, they attend our briefings, they're not police officers, they're trained mental health professionals. That's a resource that we've been bringing to the streets helped us out for a long time. And we've also, I hesitate to say it because I say it so many times about our officers having training, at least 8 hours of CIT training, and we send as many as we can to a 40-hour to give them some insight into mental health issues. And so that is a step in the right direction. I just want to affirm that we have in no way lost track of that or lost sight of that, or don't believe that the issues of having to deal with mental illness that are seen or obvious, or maybe not seen and not obvious, because we're all human beings and people struggle with lots of issues. But I think it is a person's mental illness, how they're doing, is something that's on our officers' mind. We may or might not have all the resources, or we wish we could solve that problem, but we have actively worked for years to make sure officers are sensitive to those issues and acting accordingly. And not to say-
Hold on a second. Y'all can talk amongst each other. I gotta wrap this up in a second.
I'll stop.
I'm just coming up front because my voice is not very loud, and I just want to make sure I'm able to see everybody's face. And I was wondering why, I was at the Barbershop Forum on Friday in San Quentin. I'm a volunteer that's been going out to San Quentin for the last 4 years. And so I have learned so much just being in that process with the men. So when you were talking, it just kind of really touched my heart, because what I've seen inside of there is that the men are ready to be able to give back, and they can speak to our youth in a very deep way that we can't. I have 2 boys, and my 16-year-old had just totally disconnected from school. Not because he was troubled, he didn't have any drug issues, there was none of that. I live out in suburbia. But my son was just making F's, D's, he didn't care, and I was trying to figure out. So I took him to Kaiser so he can go through talking to a psychologist. Took him there, and the psychologist basically said, there's nothing, there's no problem. But as a mom, I knew something else was underneath that. I wanted to get him in to maybe talk to someone. So because I'm at San Quentin, there's a program called Squires, which someone had mentioned earlier. And so I was able to bring him in with that group. And that day, he just broke down in tears, my son. He was able to connect to the men there in a deep way that I didn't even think was possible. So I asked him afterwards, I said, Kylan, I said, what was it that you were not able to, I said, what was different by you coming inside and talking to these guys versus talking to the psychologist? He said that it's because they were able to listen. They had went through an experience that he hadn't gone through, but they were actually able to speak to him at a level that he was able to hear. And so my son basically turned around, and he's not doing 100% in school, but he at least wants to do better. And so I'll wrap this up. My thing is that I know that the missing link, that what our children need is to have men and women who are in the system as well to be able to connect. So if we could be able to give the men that are coming out, as well as the women that are coming out, connect them to young people so they can be able to hear that language, that's what's missing in our communities. Our men are missing in our communities, and so therefore there's that breakdown. So thank you for just saying that. My heart is really open in a deep way because I was never involved in incarceration, no one in my family, and yet my heart has been open, my mind has been open in such a profound way because they're able to speak a truth that only they can speak because they live it.
The Barbershop Forum, accountability. I told you earlier, I did 26 years. But way before I got out, I know when I changed my thinking, I knew what that accountability had to look like when I came back to my community. That's my involvement, that's my role with the barbershop. But one thing I can honestly share and tell everyone in this room, every member, can I have the Barbershop Forum members please stand for a minute? Everyone, please stand. Barbershop members, don't act like y'all strangers to this. Thank you. Everyone in this committee here understand accountability. Everyone in here understand the work we have to do to get the progress and get the results we want. Tonight, you had an example to be a part of it. I thank every one of y'all for showing up here. I thank every one of you for expressing your concerns, bringing the issues on board. Because see, without you, without the community, the Barbershop Forum cannot work. Without you, without your children, without your commitment, we might as well walk away tonight and say, let's wrap it up. So in other words, we need you, we need community. We need your involvement, and we need you to move forward and continue to be a part of this. I love this family. This family have embraced me. There's no big I's, no little U's, and they allow me, someone who once said, a judge once told me 30-some years ago, I'm sending you to a place because obviously out here, there's no room for you. That was the last words I heard when I walked back to the bailiff courtroom. Did I believe that? Obviously, no. I'm standing here before you today. So Barbershop Forum, again, family, community, members, thank you. But continue to support us, continue to look for events, continue to be a part of this. Take this message and spread it to the community. Get more people involved, because we want to move forward. It's still work to be done with law enforcement, but it's still work to be done with us in our community. Because the black on black and the brown on brown crime rate is still going high. So we need y'all, and we need to put in this work. Thank you.
Thank you for PD, and thank you guys for coming out. We appreciate it tremendously. You have a great night. Drive safely. Don't speed.